Hi, my name is Louis Pierre Gignac, President and CEO of G Mining Ventures. We're building the Tocantins mine in Brazil and tracking really well.
Well, hello. I'm in your neck of the woods, sort of, North America. Yeah. Hey, as we're here at the conference, what are you here to do? Who are you speaking to whilst you're here, actually?
Yeah, I mean, we're meeting with a lot of our existing investors, right. And a lot of new ones as well. So we do have a mixed schedule at this event this year. It's the second time that we attend this conference.
Right. And then institutional primarily, presumably.
Yeah, we're about 80% institutional investors, which is, I'd say, uncommon for companies of our size, but we have a good slate of good.
Well, there's a lot of things uncommon about you. We're going to get into that, and I think all good. So just in terms of that conversation, clearly you update them regularly, and what are those kind of key messages that they want to hear or they want to ask about?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at today is actually the 1-year anniversary of making a construction decision. So we made that at this conference last year. So 1 year later, we're able to report on tremendous progress that we made so far.
Right.
So we're 50% complete, 51% complete on our project. We've put 2.8 million hours on the project, LTI free. We're, detail engineering is done. Our major procurement is done. So there's a lot of great things that we've been able to do in this year that's passed. And so that's the type of stuff we're
okay. So that's the 1 year anniversary, but it's also not far off the 2 year anniversary of actually, starting this project. And you're talking about, second half next year getting into production, commissioning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's unheard of. You're making it very difficult for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was one of the main attractions for us to get into Tocantins, because we felt we could move rapidly. But I think, the quality of the team and our ability to execute facilitated our ability to finance the project as well.
Right.
So we didn't, it was a competitive process that we ran, and we have strong supporters, but some companies can take a lot longer to get their projects financed.
They can, and I guess that's what most people look to is, what did you walk into? Just remind people, so what did you walk into when you said that's what attracted you about this project? What did you see, and then what were you able to communicate to big investors, because the money has freed you up to do things at pace.
Yeah.
So what did you see, first of all?
Well, I mean, a lot of the permitting was in place, so we didn't have to start from scratch. We did a lot of re-engineering on the project, but the basis of the work on metallurgy and the geology and the drilling and the resource was all well done and in place. So we didn't have to spend a lot of time, putting that together or refining that.
Right.
But in terms of the whole project, I mean, we redesigned a lot of it. The layout changed, and we did have to amend some of the permits that we had to account for that. But that's what we did in our feasibility study, and that document was an execution document,
right?
Not just and a financing document as well.
That was last year, right? So
yeah,
remind us of
February 22.
Right. Okay. So it could be slightly out of date in the sense that the economy has been kind of crushed. We've seen people come to markets with these feasibility studies, and the numbers have been way out of whack. So has anything changed since February 2022 to now?
I mean, definitely there's been some inflation over that period. I'd say on the CapEx side, we had locked in a lot of the pricing for our stuff. So, I mean, our CapEx budget is tracking really well to our feasibility study, which is $458 million. I'd say that our feasibility study reflected commodity prices that were a bit lower at that time. It was pre-war, higher fuel prices and all that. So that will definitely have a smaller or an incremental impact on our AISC, if you look at compared to our feasibility study.
But they kind of net each other off. You've got a higher gold price.
Yeah,
the costs,
for sure.
Some costs have come up, and some are coming down again as well. So do you feel the need to make an announcement to market in terms of what those numbers could be?
Not at this point. I think we will later, early next year when we get 6 months to commercial production. We'll be revising our guidance and stuff like that.
Right. Okay.
But some inputs have gone up, some have gone down for us. We locked in a power supply contract that is below our feasibility study cost assumptions. So there's pluses and minuses. So we do feel that inflation in Brazil has been consistently coming down over the last year.
Yeah.
Which is a bit different than other jurisdictions. So we're running around 4% right now in Brazil in terms of inflation.
Right.
Which is which is quite modest.
Yeah, we can only dream of that in the UK. Okay, so let's talk about again, what I want to try and do is kind of give people new to this, looking in and going, well, is there anything left on the table for me, right? So you're clearly at that kind of build phase at the moment. So typically if we go Lassonde curve type discussion, it should be good. So, what would your pitch be to them?
Yeah, I think exactly that. When you look at the Lassonde curve, you can see our stock price definitely trending along the upswing of, we're continuing to de-risk the project and deliver as expected. So I think over the next 12 months, we're going to see a continued re-rating occurring. If you look at PNAV multiples of developers versus producers, we still see that upside going in our favor. So we do think it's still a nice entry point for investors to participate in that re-rating.
Right, and what else they need to know about what they could be buying into in the sense that you've got one project in Brazil, big,
175,000 ounces of production.
And a little bit higher than that in the first 5 years as well, right? So
for sure.
And life of mine?
10 and a half years right now.
Right, okay, so you're throwing up about an ASIC number.
So right now we're probably in the range of 700 to 750.
Right, okay.
If you
crushing it. That's fine. It's a good number. So it's a big, substantial asset, and you've got to get it into production. You don't want to get distracted. We have talked about, and you do talk about in your marketing material, potential for M&A, especially in an environment like this where there's a lot of cash strapped companies. But you got to time that right. You don't want to get distracted. However, access to capital and cash generation are going to be part of your consideration. So what should we be thinking about you as a company?
Yeah, I mean, there's two things. There's definitely M&A, because we, as a company and given our capabilities, we feel like we can be tackling on another project very quickly behind this. So in terms of feasibility and being in construction on another project in 2025, that would be an ideal situation for our company.
But you've kind of walked into a perfect product in a way. Something you picked up quite a few tweaks and needed, as always. But perfect product. Do you see yourselves as Brazil people, South American people, problem solving? Would you walk into something which has got technical issues?
Yeah, no, we're willing to tackle existing operations that have technical issues, but especially if we think we can bring value add in terms of fixing those, or there's expansion opportunities where you need some capital reinvestment to get an expansion going and whatnot. So those could be attractive to us as well.
Right.
And I would say, Americas is kind of the playground that we see ourselves looking at in terms of...
Is that because others find it difficult operating there or unsure how to operate there?
I mean, every jurisdiction is a bit different. When you look at the Americas, I mean, but Brazil was a new jurisdiction for us, to be honest. I mean, prior to that, we were in Suriname, British Guyana, Ecuador, and each one has its particularities, to be honest. But Brazil was a first for us, and I think we've been able to tackle that one quite well.
Right. Okay. So just sticking with the M&A thing, because again, I'm trying to say, as like a new investor into your company, and say, well, what's the trajectory of the company rather than the asset?
Yeah, I mean, the business model, if you look at it, it's buying early stage, development stage assets that you buy for a low PNAV multiple, and if you're able to execute on those, then you go get the proper valuation from the market. So for us, I mean, given our sweet spot and skill sets of developing projects, which is something that not very many people have, we do feel we're a bit of a unique company in that sense.
Well, given the history and the family background, etc., you'd hope so, right? But where's it gone wrong for so many people? Because it's been a really tricky year, not just in terms of gold equities, but it's been tricky in terms of people being able to deliver and get projects across the ground, across the finishing line. I mean, it really has.
Yeah,
I realize the opportunity maybe, but at the same time, a lot of people making a lot of promises and just stumbling at the last hurdle. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a lot of things you need to get right for sure. But, I think a lot of people have taken feasibility studies off the shelf and, they were able to get the financing and be able to push on the go button. So either, detail engineering is not sufficiently advanced or they haven't refreshed their estimates to have a good idea of what it's really going to cost.
Yeah.
But then there's always staffing issues. I think in North America, you look at the ability to attract talent and have the right team to deliver is a challenge. I think even more so than Latin America, for sure.
Right. Okay. I just kind of like, there's been a lot of value destruction in the market in gold equities over the last 2 years. So the market, certainly more on the retail family office side than institutional guys know what they're getting into. And it's kind of discouraging. In fact, I've seen CEOs just sort of crumble in front of me and go, you know what, I've had enough.
Yeah.
We got to get out of here. Yeah. But that's possibly more reflection of their asset and their ability than the market, would you say? The market's still good for gold?
I think the market is there's not a lot of new money coming into the market. So I think people are being really picky with where they put money into the space right now. So I think financing new projects is definitely a challenge at the moment. Gold price is generally good. I mean, so if you can't make money at these prices, then maybe you should move on to lithium.
We say that. I spoke to let's say it's nearly a $3 billion gold company a few months back, but their all-in cost is somewhere up around today's gold price. It's difficult. You got to be able to time these things. So history is not necessarily a reflection of the ability to succeed into the future. So there's a lot of balls, a lot of moving parts in all of this. And I know you're going to be conscious of this over the next 9 months till you get into actual production.
For sure. I mean, we manage our cash really closely. I mean, we're large shareholders. We put in a lot of our personal net wealth into the company.
Hey.
So I think every decision we make is every dollar's our dollar.
More entrepreneurial. And
they're very, very much entrepreneurial. And I would say not just the management team, but many people in the organization feel that it's, their project and make decisions on that basis as well.
Right. Okay. So this conference is about meeting up with existing shareholders, saying we continue to deliver quarter over quarter. We're on schedule, on budget.
Yeah.
That's the message.
That's the message. And, I think for a lot of investors in development stage companies, that is always their main concern is, do you have enough money to finish your project? And you're going to finish it on time. And then when you do finish it, you're going to be able to operate it. Is it going to ramp up to deliver what it was intended to do, right? So those are typically the things that we're focused on now. And we give a lot of, details to our investors saying that, we're tending to business.
So. I think big institutions are just waiting for that one phone call from other companies just going, didn't quite get over the line. Apologies. It'll be okay. Trust me. Okay. Can I ask this thing? Because I've said it many times on our summaries after these interviews, really like the way you've gone about structuring this, the plan, the strategy, the team. In fact, you put a lot of your own family's money into this thing. That you want this, you need this to work, right? What's the one big decision that you think you got right, which has influenced your ability to stay the course, to be on course for delivering something of this scale? What's that one moment, apart from picking up the asset?
Yeah, I think that was a big one. But we had to commit a lot to buying equipment given the lead times.
Yeah.
So we did put a lot of financing into the company before we made a construction decision and really put our project financing together. But making those decisions to say we're going forward and we're making commitments to purchase a lot of equipment, not knowing that everything was all packaged with a bow on it. Yeah. So you do have to make those calls and make sure that you're going to be able to keep schedule.
And was that a conscious decision? Again, given the family's trading history in terms of building lines for people, other people.
Yeah.
Was that a kind of conscious decision? Was it a naive decision that's just come off? How do you look back on that?
That's the reason you can always buy brand new equipment on the market.
Yeah.
It's because people buy the stuff and then they don't have the full financing to actually start building this thing. But no, we had a lot of faith that we could get across the line and do that. So that was a good, important moment. Like we ordered our grinding circuit in May of 2022.
Yeah.
And it's on the ship right now heading to Brazil. So had we not committed that long in advance, we would not be targeting commissioning in June next year, right? So so those are a lot of decisions where we're always keeping track of there's points in time where you do have to make decisions. You can't just sit on them and hope for the best. So you do have to commit.
If you've got the money. So for me, looking at this story, the big thing that I think you guys did was get a big chunk of money in
Early.
really early.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But you need to obviously have a story and a narrative and the track record to be with the experience of the team to get people to give you that, to trust you, to give you that in what was quite a choppy marketplace. That when I look back at this, when we write about it, that's the kind of brave leap that you did, because it could have been hugely value destructive, I think, for you.
Yeah.
You know. But there we go. Here we
Yeah.
are.
And
Sunny.
still lots of work to do
background. Lots of work to do. Well done. Keep doing it. It's I think, a nice inflection point for people looking in at this story now. So
Yeah, for sure.
appreciate your time today.
Thanks.